How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PBF and Tint, and today we are going to tint the windows on a Mazda. Well, I'll tell you later what this car is. I don't know what it is. It's a little very small SUV looking thing, or it's like a miniature minivan. It's a 2014, but I thought the interesting part is that we have to close these doors in order to tint them, so I thought this might make a little bit of an interesting video on this one door. So let's go ahead, I'll show you how we accomplish this as far as getting tint on these with the doors closed. They pretty much go on like regular, but you know, with the door closed. All right, terrific, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do, well, I've already pre-shrunk the bottom edge, and I've got a video on the channel that goes over that whole process. But what we want to do is go ahead and get this pulled down 3/4 of the way, and then put back up like this. And then we're going to set this in the vehicle, and we're going to take this one in with us as well. All right, so we'll go ahead, set these on this passenger seat here. Come on, get off of there. All right, I'm gonna do the roll up first, so this pattern, well, it's gonna stick to it. Let's just set it somewhere else. Like maybe right there will be good. All right. Make sure you have the key in and the car turned on. Otherwise you're gonna be hopping in and out of here a bunch of times. Oh. Well, I'm hopping out again. See, this is already happening. All right. I gotta have my sprayer. Let's take that around to the door. Let's go ahead and close this. And then we'll go ahead and put in... Uh-oh. We got a toy I activated. There we go. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to get started on this. The water is really beating up on these windows, so they're going to be a little bit sticky, but that should be okay. Now, this is a 2014, so we are going... Huh?
2012.
Oh, 2012. All right, sorry, I got a phone call, so it got interrupted a little bit. But this was really beating up on this window, and that may make it a little bit more difficult to install, but we'll see. Now, because this is a 2012, as it turns out, that doesn't really make a difference from 2012 to 2014. We're going to be razor blading all of the windows. Anything that old, I'm always razor blading. So let's get every edge. So on the sides, I like to make sure I'm going in sideways like this so I get back in there as far as possible. And then we'll go ahead and take care of this middle. Okay, great. Let's roll it down. Now we need to get a mist on here because there is going to be a lot of dirt on this edge from it getting a little bit sticky and having the rubber leave stuff on it. So we want to wet that down to get it to start to break loose. And then this side, or this top edge, we go along with the window this direction. Make sure that we came down far enough. Great. All right, now another important step on a vehicle with a few years on it like this is to make sure that we get way back in there with a towel and this card here. Usually about 3 times. Look at all that. And that's a solid amount of dirt back in there, which it should have. Nobody cleans way back in there, right? But we want to make sure that that doesn't get underneath our tint. Okay, great. That's going to be nice and clean back in there. Go ahead and put another mist on this, and then we'll go ahead and squeegee this out. And so really this just goes like a regular door that's open. It's just that you have to come in and sit inside and close it, which makes it a little bit more interesting. But other than that part, and peeling the release liner off the material, that part's a little bit different as well because we're obviously not grabbing it from the board out there. And that's why I pre-wet it down. Okay, so we squeegeed down this side, took everything this way, squeegeed that down. I'm gonna go ahead and blow that down, blow the bottom, and then put a mist on here. Let's go ahead and put our pattern on. So I'm gonna flip this edge over, expose the adhesive, put it in my mouth, pull this down, and over here I'm gonna put my fingernail into it. Now since it's already wet, we shouldn't need to add more slip, but you could if you were so inclined to do so. Put this side on. I'm gonna push out on the window because that tucks quite a ways in there. And so we want to get that pressure off of the adhesive while we're tucking it in. Get this side in like this, and then let's go ahead and line this up. Great. And then we will go ahead and squeegee this out. We've got a really nice edge there, so I'm gonna mount my finger here, hold the material in place, squeegee this out. It was interesting, I just watched a window tinter last night. I've never really watched another window tinter ever on YouTube, but I did last night just because I was interested in checking his channel out. And it's interesting. I mean, I learned how to do this back in '98, and it's amazing how many of the same things that we do, even though I had to mostly teach myself how to do window tinting, I still do it like other window tinters across the United States. That's very interesting to me. A lot of the things that we did are the same, other than I do squeegee this side up, or the sides I go up with the water to get it up and out instead of just letting it run down and then come back into the film here. That's not a huge difference, but I do think it's something that helps my work come out clean. Personally, I feel that way. All right, so we roll that up, and we will remove the rest of this liner here. Now we need to blow all this down because that was hidden back behind the door panel down below. Put a mist on there. Go ahead and get this sitting on the glass. We'll get the scoot it over. Now we need this edge to be nice and flat, and then we'll just tuck it in like that. And then see how this is curled in like that? That's perfect, because as we come across, it just kind of pushes it up closer to the glass. Bring it over here again, get that nice edge nice and flat, push that down. Now we'll go ahead and take this red tool here, and we will push all of this down. So this is just our first pass on this bottom. This is just to get the bulk of the stuff out, and then we will come back after this and use a blue max. Perfect. Okay, terrific. Let's get our blue max. I'm gonna put that away for the moment so I can speak better. Go ahead and take all this stuff down to the bottom. Great. Now let's get way back in there. So I'm gonna stuff this card back until it bumps the edge back in there. You want to get it all the way in there. And then we'll come across, do this side a few times. And then we'll take this across like that. And then I'm gonna do one more over here. Great. Okay. Got that one done. Now let's do this little window here, or smaller window. So now to clean this one, I'm gonna go ahead and just razor blade this again. Get that razor blade way up in there to break let's see, okay. I'm gonna shove the razor blade way back in there, because what happens with this rubber over time is it ends up sticking to the glass, and we wanna make sure that's broken free so we can tuck the film in there. Okay, great. Let's come down this side here. Okay, great. And I am gonna go ahead and trim myself a little bit of the edge off of this rubber here so that we can tuck this pattern in. Just a sliver. Basically just want to get a tiny little 45 on that edge, and that's going to help the material go in there and not bunch up on the edge. That got a little bit thicker than I anticipated, but that's totally fine. Okay, now we're gonna take this tool again inside the towel and get it way back in there as far as we can go. You will notice when we go to apply this pattern, look at all that dirt on that one. So when we go to apply this pattern, it is the rounded pattern. We chose that out of the computer today. This is a more budget-friendly installation today with the price of the film. And so I'm not going to worry about trying to get all the way down in there. Okay, great. So we've got those edges cleaned up real good. Let's go ahead and squeegee this now. Way up in there. Awesome. I'm doing a video. All right. So we took that side down, and then we're taking everything else over to this side, and then we'll squeegee this down. You know, and in this situation, I guess I should have seen this seat go. How does it lean back, I wonder? It'd be nice to even be further back, but we're just gonna leave it the way it is because I don't know how the seat maneuvers. Okay, so we've got that good and clean. Let's put a mist on it. I'm gonna spray a little bit of water down in there and hope we can get some to sneak past the rubber that's sealed up against the glass there to help with the install on this. Let's get our pattern. Fold this part forward. There's our face. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this put in now. So I am gonna let this go in with the top first and go up. Let's get that to tuck in there. So when I'm pushing this up, I'm pushing out on the glass, and with my fingernails, I'm doing this to push the film up. And what that does is that helps pull, with the tip of my fingernail, I'm pulling this rubber away from the glass. Let's get this bottom part down in now. Come on, baby. It's a little tacky. Okay, so now I'm doing the same thing where I'm doing that same motion and getting the material to go in behind that piece of rubber there. Let's get this to go up a little bit higher till we're almost leaving a gap at the bottom, and then we'll bring this down and over a little bit and then fill everything in nicely. Okay, now we want this to be over as far as it can be without leaving a light gap here. So right there looks really good. I'm gonna hold that in place because it's kind of bunching up right here, and so it wants to push it out that way, but I want it to stay right there because I don't want a light gap on this edge. It's very important. Okay, now that we've got some of this squeegeed out, that should hold itself in place. We'll go ahead and take some of this water up to the side. Now let's get this part down, and the easiest way to push that down is going to be take one of these Teflon cards and go up with it like this. Ooh, that does want to pinch though. Okay, let me try something else here. I'm gonna get way back in there, get a bunch of gap there, and then hope that that'll just slide in there underneath. There we go, perfect. Okay. So let's go one more time with the squeegee, and then we'll get all those edges really good. So now we should be able to put a little bit more force on the film and really get it squeegeed out real well. Hopefully the GoPro caught that whole interaction there. I don't know, it's pretty high up on my head. I've got 3 cameras going, but we're in such a tight area that sometimes you can't get a good shot on things. All right, so here again, we'll go up, and then we'll come around way back in there. Make sure you're getting all the way to the edge of the film. Down, take that down a few times back in there. Then we'll come across. Then let's take all of this down. Great. Okay. Dry everything off. Okay, so another issue that you can run into on a vehicle like this, because it has this fabric here, and because this car's got some veers on it, and I'm sure that there's some dirt buildup on that piece of fabric, The thing that you can run into here is that if you leave this hard line here where it's wet and dry, you have a good possibility of leaving a stain basically on that edge. And so what we want to do is take a little bit of the soapy water, put it on the rag, and then we're going to go back and forth on this, and we're going to feather that edge out. And I'm putting a lot of pressure back in here as well because I want to dry out as much of the moisture as possible. So you see how we basically have feathered that so you can't see that edge anymore? That's going to dry great, and we don't have to worry about the possibility of there being a stain on the panel. So the same thing we're going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this top part out first, and then I'll work my way down. And by drying out the top part first, chances are I've got enough moisture on the towel to go ahead and feather this edge. Great. All right, just make sure everything's good and wiped down. Terrific. Well, that was the process of installing window tint on this window. Hopefully you found something helpful there. Let's see, anything else? Now is just go outside, double check everything, make sure you didn't leave, there's no contamination, anything you need to clean up. You want to check that from the outside, and then this window's all finished up. So I appreciate you taking a look. If you found something useful, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.